So I wanted to do a video of my first impressions of the Ducati Monster 1200S. I've taken it for a few rides now and wanted to give you guys a understanding of what the bike is like, especially compared to a 600cc sport bike. So my first main big bike was actually, of course I'm getting a call. So yeah, coming off of a 600cc, which was actually my first big sport bike, how does the Monster feel in comparison? Because I initially wanted to go straight from that to the Street Fighter V4, and the real reason for that was purely in terms of street power. I just didn't feel like the 600 had enough. It would take a long time for the speed or that adrenaline rush to kick in, and then by the time you get there, you're already doing speed limits that are, you know, dangerous for your license. Whereas, you know, with a bike with a higher engine capacity, it's going to get you to those speeds a lot faster, doing, you know, the speed limit. So that's why I decided to go for, you know, a bigger bike. But the Monster has about 30 horsepower more than the Suzuki GSXR had before, but it somehow manages to drop so much more energy and power at the speeds that you're going to be doing on the roads, and I really, you know, I'm enjoying that a lot. But, you know, that's not to say that the bike doesn't come with its faults. So, you know, I am having a few difficulties with it, which I'll start off with because I want to end off the video on a positive note. The bike likes to go into neutral by itself sometimes. The quick shifter could be a bit more smooth, and it doesn't like to go slow speeds. Like, as you can see, it's kind of glugging away right now. So you have to have clutch control for anything really below 8 miles per hour, which is fine. I mean, I've not got this bike to do commutes or teeter around in traffic. You know, it's mainly for a little bit of fun every now and then. But that's about it. I did have an issue with the suspension, which I remedied yesterday, and there's a video on YouTube of me talking about that. But basically, the previous owner had loaded the preload for the suspension in the rear as if, you know, there were 3 people sitting on the bike, so it was very stiff. And, you know, I just thought that was a part of the characteristic of the bike, that the bike was, you know, seated a lot higher up, pushing me forward and super rock hard over any bumps. You know, getting that changed obviously made a massive difference. So now the ride feels extremely smooth, you know, and really comfortable, but at the same time delivering this insane amount of power, you know, that gives me the giggles every time I rip on the throttle. So yeah, it's a really good bike. It's got a lot of character. You can feel these vibrations coming through the bike, and for me that makes the experience just that much more visceral and enjoyable. The brakes, you know, phenomenal compared to the 600cc. The rear brake especially, like, I can bring the bike to a stop just with that alone, whereas with the 600cc it doesn't, they're not as good. You know, these are Brembos on both the front and the back, and I guess that's why. So I'm kind of riding aimlessly at the moment. No real plan as to where I'm going, but just talking to you guys about what I think. And I mean, the handling is just superb, so smooth. Like, taking this corner here, I feel like this traction, even though we're approaching the colder months. The tyres, I guess, you know, they're the stock tyres, phenomenal. And, you know, once we get onto the motorway here, we can get a little rip as well. It's fitted with a SE Project slip-on with no baffles in at the moment, and yeah, it's really fucking loud. It's really loud. but it's really, really phenomenal. So I've got the wheelie control set to 1 at the moment, so the front wheel likes to come up whenever I rip the throttle. But really, it feels so good. Power, low down and rev range. Not used to that yet, but it does like to climb. And just listen to that engine, the pops and bangs, I mean. My 600cc just didn't have that. So I definitely feel a lot more usable power on this bike. More comfortable, and actually I've got this I can't remember the name of it, but the wind guard on the front of the bike, so I actually don't notice the wind much at all. It's really actually effective, and I think it looks good. You know, I know a lot of people will prefer the Monster pure without that, but it looks right to me, and it's really functional. So another strange characteristic about the bike is I don't know if it's because it's not been, excuse me, I think, you know, you should be asked to redo your license once you get to a certain age. Anyway, there is a flat spot when accelerating hard in first and second gear. Especially in the second gear, it's really noticeable. So I can't really figure out if it said 7,000, but it will just dip out for a little bit and then it'll pick up again, which makes it really hard to control sometimes. That being said, it's really fun because it gives you a really big adrenaline rush when you pull fast without, you know, knowing it's going to happen. Still needing to get used to the clutch. It's quite it's a stock clutch, it's quite heavy. That is so much fun, honestly. It's yeah, the riding position. You know, the reason I got the GSXR 600 was I felt that my my days are numbered on being able to ride a sport bike, but I did actually find that to be not as bad as I thought. However, just being able to, you know, gear up and get on this bike and then be super comfortable, it makes me want to ride the bike more. And that was something that was kind of putting me off riding the Suzuki all the time. Would I recommend this over a 600cc sport bike for the road? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to say, one of my favorite things about getting this bike, good and bad, is just the amount of attention it gets. because of how loud it is, how it looks. I mean, other bikers really seem to like it. I do tend to get a lot more nods as I'm passing by. So with the quick shifter, you have to be on the throttle for it to shift up, and it works best when you also are on the brakes going down. You don't need to be braking, but it does work better. But you can't shift up unless you have your throttle open. Something to consider. Obviously, it is an older bike, 2018. Some of the newer quick shifters are a bit more buttery smooth, but it's still quite good. It does the job. You do that then. And man, can this thing rip. It just sounds so good. So yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying it. One thing I may consider doing down the road is getting it tuned. See if we can work on those flat spots, you know, make it a bit more linear. Not that I need to do it. It's just a nice to have. Why not? Give it a go. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, subscribe. If you like the Ducati Monster, I'll be uploading as much content as I can. And if you made it this far, thanks a lot for sticking around. Peace.